It is 6:13. It's that time. We're talking about school choice debate. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick is working to push for school choice again. He is vowing to get it passed, even though the House has been reluctant. Is this good for all of Texas children? That is a question. How can the state ensure those who cannot make a choice still get the best education? Well, that's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you, of course. You can find us on Facebook or on Twitter, Fox 26 Houston. We'll find you just like that, and we'll share some of your comments. Joining us live this morning from the newsroom, please welcome our Fox 26 senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico, along with Democratic media consultant Mustafa Tamiz. And right there in the middle, we got a Republican strategist and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. Good morning to you all.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here.
So first, before we get to this, we have to talk about the most important issue of the day. The best university in Texas, Sam Houston State University, 7-0, still #1 in the country. We have to have our in-depth sports report. There it is. Nate Griffin. Okay, so let's talk about this.
I was warned about that, all right? We'll get him next time. We'll talk about the Cougs.
The Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Who? Okay, Dan Patrick's been trying to push the vouchers or school choice, as he calls it now, since he was a senator, and now that he's the lieutenant governor, this is his primary objective, to get school choice through the Texas legislature. The Texas House and Joe Straus is not warm to the idea at all. Didn't get it through last time, and Joe Straus said that he would rather focus on fixing the school finance system and not focus on a voucher program, and gave it really a cold reception at a speech. But let's just assume that this debate's going to go on. How does the legislature, Jackie, protect children whose family finances will never be able to afford a school choice?
We have this discussion every year because this is one of Dan Patrick's #1 items, and we've seen the same kind of pushback every single year. So if it actually is going to move any further, I don't know. I'm not seeing any kind of traction, but we will be talking about it as long as Dan Patrick is our lieutenant governor. To answer your question specifically, with the model that we assume he's going to propose, because we haven't gotten all the details, the Laffer group just did a study showing that we could save $1.76 billion over a 5-year period. They're also showing that lower to middle class income families would once, for the first time ever, actually have an opportunity, because they would get a voucher that would be either 60% equivalent of what that student would, what the state would have to pay for that student to educate them, and they could apply it to a better school or to a private school. So that is not an opportunity right now that lower class families have, because if you're stuck in a bad school, guess what? You don't have the money like other families do to pay the tuition for a private school.
60% of a tuition at a private school is, for some people, the equivalent of a zero voucher, isn't it?
Yeah, basically it subsidizes the rich people that already have their kids in a private school. Now they'll get 60% of that tuition back because they're going to get a voucher instead, and it takes the money away from the public school system, which is already lacking in funding. Texas spends, I think we're 48th in the nation in terms of investing. We compete with Mississippi as to who's going to spend less per child in education, and it's going to give us a long-term deficit in learning of our children. So we're stealing intellectual capital away from our kids by doing this.
Now let's go to Rita. She's monitoring our social media.
Right, so what I went ahead and did for you, we want to take it full screen, as I pulled up Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick's official Twitter account. Here it is. This is a picture that he posted. He was out speaking in San Antonio on this very issue that you guys are talking about, the Summit on School Choice. Look at it behind. It says support school choice, and then here are some of the comments. I'll read them for you because it's a little tough to see. I'm going to scroll up here. Clayton says, pander much? We got Alice who says, yep, looks like he is still hanging out with the Common Core pushing Jeb Bush types. And then we'll share this last one with you from Terry, who says, hey, if private schools accept tax dollars, then they must follow the same rules, regulations, mandates, etc. as public schools. Chris.
Well, that wasn't quite the ringing endorsement I think Dan was looking for when he posted that. It wasn't. I don't think that's what he was.
There's plenty more on both sides of the aisle, I'm sure.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of people in favor of this, but the problem is what I think Joe Straus and what the House is looking at is, how do we keep it fair for those who will never be able to make that choice? And this year, there was a lawsuit again over the funding issue. The Texas Supreme Court ruled our funding system lawful but inequitable.
So I do believe that we're going to take that up in the legislative session again. We've talked about that in previous segments. And also to piggyback on his comment, we did have a significant increase in funding in public education this last session, and our governor and our Texas leaders said that they're going to increase again in the next session. So this is part of that continuing discussion to try to make sure that we improve our public education system for all.
Was there a significant increase in funding in the last session?
It was 30%.
No.
Yes, it was.
Hang on, let him talk. Go ahead.
We did not increase school funding by 30%. I think we can ask any educator, any superintendent, any school board trustee about that. It's like taking money out and putting some of it back in and saying we restored majority of the money. Well, we still haven't.
We took $4 billion out. We put $2 billion back in. That's not, and I'm just using simple math. That's not saying we increased funding.
We did by 30%.
But 30% when we took $4 billion out and you put less than $4 billion back, you're still below. That can't be increasing funding. So we're going to leave it right there. We'll be back in 20 minutes. We're going to talk about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and the last debate and the dust up from that.
All right, and don't forget to find us, Fox 26 Houston, so that we can share some of your comments with our viewers and, of course, our analysts who are here. Thanks, guys.